Welcome to Don't Repeat What Mommy Says, because Mommy uses bad words.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that.
Who's going to introduce? And then you just interrupt. Okay, go ahead.
No, I just got really excited because some lady saw my bag, the Don't Repeat What Mommy Says bags, which are
Yeah.
available on our website. And she wanted to know where she could buy one. So I
Oh,
gave her
did
a
you tell
business
her?
card. I gave her a business card. I told her to email us since she lives in Douglas.
Oh, yeah, because we have some.
Yeah, I was like, well, if you want to buy one, like email us because then you don't have to pay shipping or wait. Like we can just get it to you. But yeah, somebody saw my bag and liked it. So if you want to see the Don't Repeat What Mommy Says bags, check our website link. Our store link should be in the show description. So sorry, I got really excited about that and I forgot to tell you. Continue.
Today we're talking about raising kids with chronic illnesses like diarrhea of the mouth.
Thanks, Mom.
So some people might know I did raise a child with a chronic illness, and that poses a lot of challenges. So she didn't start out with an illness, so it wasn't something we could plan for. And then it happened. And when she first got sick, it was a big thing. One, we didn't know what was going on. I thought she had a flesh-eating disease because I didn't know what that looked like. There was like a whole hysteria behind it anyway. So the first time she went to the hospital, like everybody came to visit her. It was I mean, it was crazy. It was anything but relaxing. There were so many people in and out of there. I had to actually have my husband bring the truck when we came home from the hospital because she had so many balloons and stuffed animals. Even the nurses gave her stuffed animals that we couldn't fit them in the car. And then it turned out that her illness became chronic. So going to the hospital ended up being a pretty common occurrence. So at some point, I had to tell people like there was no more visiting her in the hospital. There was no more buying her things when she was at the hospital. We observed nap time at the hospital. And a lot of the family was really upset about that, which, like, I get that. They just cared and they wanted to show that they care. And here's this poor little girl going in for chemo. She was on chemo. But because it had become part of normal life, I tried to keep the hospital visits as normal as possible. Because especially, when children are off their routine anyway, like if they don't have a chronic illness, it causes a big hiccup in their day. It ends up being stressful for the child, even though it was fun. It becomes stressful, because now they're not getting their naps when they're supposed to and everything. Um, but not only that, she started to kind of use her illness to manipulate people to get things she wanted, which, kids do that. I mean, adults do that,
Yeah.
you know, so uh so I just tried that was what I decided pretty unilaterally. I guess I didn't really ask for anybody else's input. I just this is what we're doing because I, was trying to keep things as normal as possible, which, things weren't normal, but they were her normal. So, the other challenge is, having another child who, probably wasn't getting the attention that she needed and wanted, um, because my other daughter sucked up a lot of attention. So how I handled that was I tried to, even though I didn't have a lot of time necessarily with her, I did carve out just mommy and Lauren time where it was all about Lauren and not her sister. So quality over quantity, sometimes you just have to. Uh,
Yeah.
there, there's not a lot of option there. You know what I mean? Like that's the best option we could come up with. I think Dad spent a lot of time with you when I was gone. Um,
He did. Dad and I spent a lot of time doing things, so
yeah,
watching movies. We watched The Lion King a lot.
yeah. So it's nice to have, your spouse be able to step into that too. Because as a mom, and people tried to shame me, like, and I don't know if anybody will run into this, but you have another child at home that needs you. You can't be at the hospital all the time. Uh, are you kidding me right now? You know what I mean? So I dealt with a lot of that. So having a spouse that could deflect those people off of me and to put them in their place when they needed to be put in their place and fill the time that I wanted to be spending with my other child. But just there was no way I could have, when she was in the throes of the illness before things were stable, I couldn't have been anywhere else.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that, I couldn't have. I wouldn't have been able to think about anything else. And I challenge any mom to say that they could.
Yeah.
So there's that. So for people on the outside, people who don't have children with chronic illnesses, if you know a mom with a child with chronic illnesses, be a support and keep your stupid comments to yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're welcome to think those things, but you are not welcome to say them to those mothers.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't dealt with any sort of chronic illness with my kids at this point. We know firsthand that those things can change. Like, we could wake up tomorrow and find out one of my kids ends up with a chronic illness. Um, so, as much as it sucks, like, it can happen to anyone.
Hmm.
So, being aware of that, maybe being a little bit empathetic, because where would you be if it was your kid? Because I can tell you right now, if it was my kid and when it's been my kid in the hospital, not for chronic illnesses, but for other things, I'm going to be with the kid who needs me
Right.
because I am their mom. I know them better than anyone else. I'm going to be the one there because I know their medical history, I know what they need, and I feel comfortable making decisions for them.
Well, and before she was at the children's hospital, the one hospital she was at, they told me visiting hours were over. I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
They're like, aren't you leaving? I'm like, no. I'm not gonna leave my kid here with you. I don't know you people. Like, I don't trust you with my kid without me here. Hell to the no.
Yeah, and I mean, did you see about that NICU nurse who got arrested for child abuse?
No.
Oh, horrifying. She was like breaking the bones of preemie babies in the NICU. Yeah. Like
Mm.
I it's not a common thing that happens. Which is probably why it was such a salacious news story. Um, but like the stories like that that I've heard, I would never ever ever leave any child alone in a hospital. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't.
And that's the thing. You don't know. I mean, that when people work in a medical as a medical professional, you are background checked and stuff, but that doesn't mean that they're all good people. They might just not have been caught yet.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in a really fantastic long-term care facility. Like, we were great across the board, great marks with the state. We had really good staff, and we still had, now, I don't want to say for sure that somebody was being abusive or something, but we had things that we did end up having to report, even though we were all background checked. Everybody who worked there should have had a good background and stuff. That doesn't mean everybody who worked there was a good person who genuinely cared about the people they were taking care of, unfortunately.
I was when I worked as a receptionist at the one in when we lived in Illinois. There were two CNAs that were abusing a lady and put it on social media,
Ugh.
just humiliating her and everything, and they put it on social media. Um, and then it was reported. But you know what? And I would have never thought that those two CNAs would have done that. I really would, and I worked with them every day, and I thought they cared about the residents, but apparently they were a completely different animal behind closed doors.
Yeah, and I think I did report one. I didn't report a person. I reported what I suspected to be abuse of a nonverbal resident. I think it was ended up they decided they didn't think it was abuse. Um, but you just never know. And especially when you're talking about people who can't speak for themselves. Yeah, I wouldn't, not with my kids, no. I won't leave my kids alone somewhere.
No, and we did, I think it was like the second or third night she was there. We did let her stay there by herself because Dad told me to go home because I was really tired and I wasn't getting any sleep there. But we, at that point, knew the staff. She had our phone number. In fact, I think she was on the phone with Grandpa all night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, when you're comfortable, that's one thing, but don't let them tell you visiting hours are over. Like visiting hours are over when I say they're over. It's not your kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
A- And that's one of the things about that COVID. Mm. How many people were opened up to abuse because they couldn't have somebody there?
I honestly so many, and that bothers me a lot.
And yeah, that I'm sorry, that was awful.
And like I know our thing here is about chronic illnesses in kids, and we'll get to probably chronic illnesses as a mom. Um, but if you are a medical professional and you are doing something and you are worried that you might be accused of something you didn't do, you can bring a witness. You can bring somebody else in to observe. I've had it many times where they asked me for like invasive procedures, would you like somebody here as like a witness or a patient advocate? So, if you do work in the medical field and you are worried that you might be accused of something, you can bring somebody with you, a second set of eyes.
Well, and if you're a patient and you can't have a person come in with you, you can ask for the same thing.
Absolutely. As a patient or as the staff, you can ask for the same thing. Because I did have a coworker who was falsely accused of abusing a resident. He did not. But from that day forward, anytime he was interacting with that person, because he had to, like we didn't have the staff for them to just never put her with him, he always made sure to have somebody with him for her care so that he wouldn't be wrongly accused again.
I know I had to report that one guy because a resident said that he abused her. She told me, so you have to report that. It,
Yes.
it turned out he did not. Um, but he was not about to go in any residence room without a witness after that because I mean it's a very long and should be a very long process to investigate that. And he was suspended for quite some time and all of that pending investigation. So
Yeah, thankfully for this guy, it was not a long pending investigation or anything. It pretty much was a one-time deal. But I mean, he was horribly upset because he was fantastic at his job. Like, what saved him was the roommate was in there the time the supposed abuse had occurred, and she was completely with it. Like, she didn't have any confusion, memory issues that would have made her an unreliable witness. And she spoke to his character as being nothing but respectful and having heard her roommate colluding to accuse him because she didn't like him. So,
I honestly think the lady who accused this other guy was confused.
yeah.
She was toward end of life and she was very ill.
Yeah.
I I don't want to think she was malicious. I don't know what happened there, honestly, but he was investigated extensively. He was exonerated. Um, and that was the only allegation ever made against him. But
Yeah. So, I mean,
however, so now I know we're talking about kids and it's a mom thing, but taking care of your parents is a mom thing. Daughters, we just do that. I don't
yeah.
know why sons don't do it, but more often daughters do it more often, I think. Um, yeah, anyway, you can put a nanny cam in your parents' room at a nursing home in most states, not in every state, but if you can, please do,
Yes.
especially if your person is nonverbal. There was a lady that I used to take care of who there was a nanny cam in her room. Um, and she was nonverbal, and her husband just wanted to make sure she was okay
Hmm.
and being taken care of and all of that. Well, I didn't know it was in there. It wasn't like necessarily common knowledge, but I'd go in and talk to her all the time and whatever. And then, she didn't talk back because she couldn't communicate or whatever. But her husband came in to visit her once and he's like, "Oh, I want to thank you for always taking such good care of my wife." And I'm like, "How do you know?" He's like, "There's a nanny cam in there."
Well,
I was like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? The staff shouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't upset that he had been watching me take care of her.
the only reason the staff might have a problem with it is if your person has a roommate, because that can be a violation of the roommate's privacy.
Right. She had a private room.
I am pretty sure the one resident I had did have a nanny cam, and I don't think she was supposed to. Um, we were pretty diligent about making sure curtains were closed to prevent any invasion of privacy, but as a healthcare worker, you shouldn't care. You should always be doing things the right way. I never worried about it because, like, her daughter was particular. This woman's daughter was very particular about how she wanted things done. And even when she wasn't there, I did things the way she wanted them done because that's what was in the care plan. That's what we
Care
were
plan,
supposed
right?
to do. So I did things the way they should have been done. And her daughter loved me. Never once had a complaint. She even loaned me some nail glue one time when one of my fake nails popped off.
But that's the thing. I mean, before I worked there, I was a school bus driver, so I had cameras on me all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing, when you're entrusted with somebody else's children or somebody else's person, the camera protects them, but the camera also protects you.
Yes.
You know, because I had kids accuse me of crap on the school bus. Um, I supposedly, I've never been accused of anything like super heinous, but these kids were like really upset because I just yelled at them, which it's loud on a school bus. You have to yell for them to hear you,
Right.
right? So they watch the tape and they're like, well, I was yelling because they weren't hearing me. So I finally pulled the bus over and shut it down. So now it was quieter. And then I was talking to them in a normal tone of voice. You know what I mean? So these kids were acting like, oh my gosh, I was like horrible to them. And their parents were very upset, which I get, these were like grade school kids. And I was a mother of a grade schooler kid. My kid comes home crying. I'm going to be upset. And I'm going to go in guns blazing before I listen to reason. So I wasn't upset about that. But then, of course, they watched the video, and then my boss could explain to them, oh, she was trying to tell them something. They couldn't hear her because the bus was on. So she shut the bus down, and then I could talk to them in a normal tone of voice. So, kids sometimes, that doesn't mean that the kids were trying to lie on me. They probably never had somebody yell at them, and it probably did scare them.
Yeah. And I
But
think like most of the time, if your kid is sick and they're in the hospital, the staff is probably going to be fine.
yes,
And these are things you probably don't want to have to think about as a mom with a sick kid, but they're things you're probably going to think about because we're moms and that's what we do, you know? So I don't know. For me personally, if my kid was in the hospital, I wouldn't be leaving. And I never have.
but sometimes you don't have a choice.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. This is true. I am in a position where I have that choice because I don't have a traditional job. Like, this is my job right here, and we can reschedule a recording or an event or whatever. So,
Right. But just yeah, you gotta. In my experience, the way I handled it with a child with a chronic illness is I tried to keep things very normal as possible, and I of course was there for my child as much as I could be. But there was a point where I couldn't be with her when she was having chemo treatments because of my job, who were being horrible. So then, Dad took her, so she did have one of us there, but. So there was that. But if you have a child with a chronic illness, I think they don't like to feel different.
yeah.
Um, so she didn't really like it if we talked about her illness around other people because she didn't want to be different, you know? Because I don't think a lot of her friends really knew what was going on and stuff. She just really didn't talk about it very much. Like kids don't like to be different.
Yeah. And that is something like I appreciate the people online who are trying to make stuff about, especially kids who have rare diseases or rare diagnosis, where they're trying to make content to educate about it. And I think that's fine. but you need to be careful that it doesn't stray into the realm of exploiting your sick child for personal gain.
Yes, I would have never put a picture of my daughter receiving chemo online. I would never have done that because she was 5 and she was not of age of consent. And she's the one who would have to deal with having those images out there for everybody for the rest of her life. Not me. It's not me who got chemo, it's her.
Yeah,
So if as an adult, if she goes for a medical procedure and she wants to put that online, I think that's fine. But I am not making that decision for my kid for the rest of her life. And I think it's wrong and I think it's bad and I think people should stop doing it. I'm
right.
sorry, I don't like it because you don't know how your kid feels about it really because they're not going to clap back at you. They're a kid, number one. And number two, you don't know how they're going to feel about it when they're an adult because that's content that will never not be out there.
Yeah.
And
So,
as far as talking about my daughter's illness, I have permission to do that.
right, and even with that, like, we keep it very vague. Like,
Very vague.
we're not talking about her explicit diagnosis. Now, when I talk about my medical stuff, especially like I talk about it a lot in TikTok reels because we're always in the car together going to see a doctor, and that's just funny for content. I am an adult. I am making that choice to share what is going on with my personal medical information online. Uh,
Right, but we asked her permission.
we did
And she
ask,
is an adult, so she can make that decision. She said she doesn't care. But again, we don't talk in depth about what's going on with her because it's not our illness
right.
to talk about.
Now, like myself, we've talked about the Chiari thing. Um, I'm going to meet with a hematologist in a week to find out if I have von Willebrand's disease. So, but like those are things, that's me. I'm talking about my thing. And I will probably talk more about it on the show because I think there are probably other moms who've dealt with something, either the same thing or something similar. Because neither one of those things, Chiari or von Willebrand's disease, are actually rare.
Well, and also the flip side, kids with chronic illness. There's a lot of moms with chronic illnesses,
Yes.
whether it be a thyroid issue, gosh, Chiari, um, what, high blood pressure, low blood
High,
pressure,
low
any
blood
number
pressure.
of autoimmune system diseases, all those diseases that you look normal and people don't really respect the fact that you get physically tired more often, or, sometimes you're just achy, or, like especially with the autoimmune system disease. I know with Chiari, so there were days where I literally just my body was done. Like I had to go to sleep and there was nothing I could do about it. Like I could not have functioned physically. Um,
Well, yeah, and there's been days recently where I've just had a really hard time. Like this whole last week, I was supposed to feel better. They did iron infusions. I've had chronically low hemoglobin since I hit puberty. And they finally decided we were going to do some iron infusions. And since I did the last one, I have been so tired that it is physically painful to walk across a room. And I don't know if that's from the hemoglobin or if it's from the hormones or if it's from my thyroid or if it's from the Chiari. I don't know. But like trying to take care of two very small humans when it hurts to walk across a room because you're so physically exhausted is awful.
right. And that's the thing that people can't see, so they don't understand.
Yeah.
Like just dig deep and do what you got to do. Well, sometimes that's not possible.
Well, and I mean, I do when I have to,
And
but
I think a lot of moms do, but I don't think you need to feel bad if one day you didn't do it very well.
yeah, because
You can only do so much.
I've spent a lot of this last week on the couch because I'm just too exhausted to do anything else. And like getting upset because my kids aren't napping when I'm so tired and I'm just hoping they'll sleep so I can rest my eyes for a minute and it's not working. So I think it's definitely something people wouldn't see.
Right. And I think there's some that I was very happy that I raised my children to be very independent because when she was 4, I had knee surgery. and it was just me and her. I didn't have anybody to call in. It was just me and her home. Her sister was at school. My husband was at work. I had to be in a machine that moved my leg for me for 12 hours a day. I couldn't put any weight on it. And here I have a 4-year-old. She got her own damn breakfast. It was amazing. So I was really happy that I was that mom that taught my kids independence
Yeah, and like
because
thankfully
that could have been horrifying.
Henry's pretty independent and he's finally potty trained and he takes himself to the potty, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is
Um,
nice.
the only thing he really needs help with is like wiping if he goes poop, but he's only 3. So,
Right.
like that's been pretty nice in the last week when I've just been having a really hard time. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you looked at me, you wouldn't think there was anything wrong with me. Like
Right.
I look fine.
And a lot of moms dealing with that.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's so many autoimmune system diseases and hormonal diseases and metabolic diseases and disorders and mental health stuff. I mean, if you're dealing with like bipolar disorder or clinical depression or any, I don't even know what else. There's so many.
Well, and even like migraines. So I'm pretty sure the headaches I have never actually been migraines. Knowing what I know now, knowing what migraines are supposed to be like and versus the headaches I have. Um, but I know for a lot of people with migraines, they're so severe that they just physically can't do anything. Like
Or, I mean, even if you don't have a chronic illness, if you just get sick,
you get sick. Yeah. Like,
it's like, and people, and what are you going to do? Like your kids still need to be taken care of. Ooh, and that's not
right.
all.
Like your kids still need to be fed. If they're in diapers, you still have to change those diapers. If they're, a little bit older, maybe they can get their own food and take themselves to the potty, but they're still kids, so they're going to do something stupid and you might have to physically stop them. Like,
I'm just gonna say, any mom who's ever been sick who took care of small children, you are a superhero and you're doing just fine because those people, they survived and so did you. I mean, that is nothing less than heroic, honestly.
yeah, seriously. It
There, yeah, you can find a lot of strength after having a kid that you did not know you had.
Yeah, there have definitely been things I've gotten up and managed to do on even my worst days where I'm like, I don't think I would have done this if I didn't have kids.
Yeah, the only thing I couldn't do, when Paige had Aaliyah before we knew I had the Chiari, I could not get up in the middle of the night with her. Like
Yeah.
I physically couldn't. I did. I got up with her and I almost fell holding her and dad got up and we didn't know why. And I was like, God, I don't understand. Like what? But when I'm tired, my symptoms are a lot worse. And before the brain surgery, even worse. And I like physically could not.
Well, and I honestly think that's the only reason my eye quit doing the twitching every single day is Ava finally quit waking up in the middle of the night. Like she still does
Yeah.
on occasion, but it's usually because she actually needs something. 9 times out of 10, it's because she rolled out of bed and it's too dark to find her way back to the bed.
Yeah.
But
Because whenever you have any kind of chronic illness, being tired definitely exacerbates the symptoms.
yeah, and that's why I'm pretty convinced like my issues got worse after I had Ava because I know after having Ava, it was harder for me physically to get up with her than it was
Mm,
when I had Henry.
right.
So like there is a point I can pinpoint where my symptoms got worse, and I believe that was due to the Chiari issue, but um it's just it's a lot. It's a lot when you have kids and you still have to be mom.
Yeah. So definitely, if you can, if you have somebody to support you, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need help. Call in reinforcements. It does not make you a bad mom.
Yeah, seriously utilize those support systems because like you came over and cleaned my house shortly before I gave birth to Ava, and I
Mm,
needed that. Like it was something I just needed to be able to get things done. Like that was my support was my mom came and helped me clean the house. So,
yeah, definitely. If, like I said, if you're dealing with any of that, and even if you're not dealing with that, if you're just overwhelmed in the day and you have a support person, reach out to them and just ask for what you need.
yeah, know who you can reach out to and don't be afraid to utilize those resources because I hate the it takes a village term because every village has an idiot. We've talked about that.
I, yeah, no, I mean, you don't need a village, just one or two good people in your life that you can tag in when things are too much.
But as a species, humans are a social species, and raising children never used to be like historically in human development. Um, was never something that was just one person shouldering the entirety of the burden. Like, there's a lot of evidence to speak to that. So I'm not saying you need a village, but somebody to take some of the load off, and that's okay to ask for that help. So,
Yes, when I had the knee surgery, I wish I would have had somebody.
yeah.
I didn't though. I mean, not that I didn't have people, but they were at work. Like I
There's
had all kinds of support after people got home from work, but unfortunately, I didn't have anybody that was home all day that could help me. So luckily, I had a pretty self-sufficient 4-year-old that managed to do okay without mommy being able to do much.
Didn't you have to call was it Corey? Because I wouldn't make you food though.
No, yeah, it was either Corey or Cher came over with some McDonald's because I was starving to death. Because you were so when it first happened and everybody went back to work, she was getting up in the morning and she got herself a bowl of cereal and she would get me something to eat too. And then she was even helping me up out of this machine when I had to go to the bathroom and stuff. But after like on day 3, she was done.
Yeah.
She was done helping mommy. And then I was like, baby, could you just get mommy? And I really couldn't get up that day. And she was like, no.
Yeah. So it's great when you have independent kids who can and want to help, but man, it sucks when they stop.
Yeah, she wasn't helping that day at all. Which I mean was fine. She was 4. It wasn't her job. But
Right.
and I mean I wasn't gonna die before dad got home,
Yeah.
but yeah, one of my friends brought some McDonald's on their lunch, which was nice.
Yeah. I think really just any illness or injury you have as a mom, it's going to be harder because you still have to take care of your kids. And I
Well,
don't,
and I'm here to tell you, whatever the circumstance, you will get through it and your kids will be okay.
yeah, because we're fine. We turned out all right. Like, even with all the stuff with like not getting as much attention because my mom was at the hospital with my sister. I'm not scarred over that. I'm not traumatized over that. I don't have lasting issues. And especially like as a mom myself now, there's no place else I would be if my kid was in that situation if I could help it. So I totally understand why you made the choices you did because I would make the same ones.
Thanks.
So I don't have any lasting issues or resentments or anything. Like, it's fine. I had a great childhood.
Your sister has enough resentment toward me for both of you. It's fine. And I was there for her.
You were all
I
the
was at
time,
the hospital with her.
but you love me more. And
I know. I know. She's a salty dog. What are you gonna do?
yeah,
She's not as salty as she used to be, but she does still kind of get mad at me a lot. She gets mad at me a lot.
yeah, it
She
happens.
does. It,
What are you gonna do?
that's the other thing too. Like when you have kids, sometimes you just have a kid that you don't mesh well with.
Yeah,
It happens, and I mean, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's not like because you can't make your kid be who you want them to be. They're going to be who they need to be because they're their own person. But man, I'm telling you, me and her, most of the time we get along now because we don't live together. But living together is horrible. Like we cannot do that. Um, but she can go from loving me 1 minute to like really not liking me at all. Like she blocked me, unblocked me, and blocked me again in one day in like less than 30 minutes. And then I guess she unblocked me again because she's speaking to me again. So these things happen. If you have a child like that, especially like when they get older, like when they're adults and stuff, just take a breath and let it be. They'll probably unblock you at some point.
well, and you might not be your kid's person. Like,
But
You
I am her person.
you are her person, but I mean, I think as moms, you really want to be the person that your kids go to with everything. And it's totally okay if you're not your kid's person. Cause like my son will come to me with just about anything if I'm the only option. If my husband's home, he would much rather go to his dad about pretty much everything because that's his preferred parent. His preferred person is his dad. My daughter, I'm her preferred person. There's nobody else in the world who will ever compare to mom in her eyes, at least at,
Right.
a year and a half. That could change. But it's
Do we
okay.
want to talk about that whole uh children alienating their parents?
We should
Do
talk
we want
about
to
that.
do
We
we
should
want to
do an
do
episode
an
on that.
episode on that?
Yeah.
We should do an episode on that because it seems to be like epidemic, and I don't think it's really helpful to everybody.
No, I don't
I
think
think
so.
it's okay. I mean, like, I think there's times when it's probably appropriate, and I think sometimes maybe for a period of time, maybe to reset. Because your sister does that with me, like occasionally. She'll not speak to me for a while
Yeah.
because she needs to be away from me. I'm irritating her or whatever. You know what I mean? Like she feels like I'm judging her or whatever. And she just needs to be away from me and be her own person without dealing with me. And I'm
Yeah.
totally cool with that. But like she always comes back and talks to me, like, but there's people just not. I don't think it's very healthy.
Yeah.
And then they complain that they don't have a village to help with their kids. Well, you can just cut the village off.
Yeah, I think we can talk a lot about the village and alienating parents, I think.
Because
Well,
sometimes I think I think people just do it too quickly.
yeah.
And sometimes I think what people are wanting from their parents is unrealistic.
Yeah. And I think
You know what I mean?
eh, there's a lot we could say on it, but
Yeah,
I,
because everybody wants like some resolution with a bow and you want to hear everything that you want to hear.
yeah,
That's not life.
that's not
That's not
life.
life. And like
So,
I'm coming at it for I was raised by what do you call them? What was that generation? The baby
the
boomers.
boomers.
I was raised by boomers and I talked to my parents. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like,
But
what happened? Why is everybody so butthurt about everything?
I blame therapy.
I blame therapy too because, like, come on, people. Like, oh, I had a traumatic childhood. I didn't get a jelly sandwich. Like, some of the crap I've heard online as to why people are alienating their parents, I'm like, are you kidding me? You ungrateful shit. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, did your parents beat you? Did, like, they sell you into sex trafficking? Like, these are reasons to not speak to your parents again. Like,
On that note, I think we've exhausted chronic illnesses because we've gotten into alienation. So,
well, because I don't understand. It's a lot.
yeah, you know, subscribe. You can watch that whole episode in the future.
Or something. I don't know. I
Okay.